Hey, what's going on, y'all? Victor Chambers here, back with another video. I actually wasn't going to make a video today, but I had something happen today that's related to something I posted in one of my other videos this week. And I mentioned that I had a direct signing. It was a deed signing at an apartment building not too far from where I live. And I was talking to the leasing consultants and the property manager, and they were saying how the tenants in the building always reach out to them about getting documents notarized. And so I ended up leaving my cards with them and told them, I'm in the area. I can help if they have tenants that need anything notarized. Interestingly, today I had someone from that building reach out to me, and it just goes to show you that some the tip I shared in that video was absolute gold. And I'm not one to toot my own horn or anything like that, but some of y'all got it. Some of y'all, it'll probably hit you 3 o'clock in the morning. But that was an absolute golden ticket. Like, that was such a great tip, in my opinion, because like I said, as notaries, especially, you know, sometimes it's hard to find customers, especially for general notary work. You built your Google business page, you put yourself out there on social media, but oftentimes we forget some of the more simpler things that we can do to build an audience and build a customer base. And that's definitely one of them. I'm pretty sure most of us have these kinds of, large apartment buildings where we live, maybe even larger luxury apartment buildings or condo buildings where we live, and just making those connections, building those relationships, you can create a nice little avenue or stream of income for general notary work. Just by doing that, you're building a customer base, you're building an audience. And why it's great for me is because this person that reached out to me, they actually reached out to me about notarizing a lease agreement because they're enrolling their child in school. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But when I do general notary work, obviously I'm going to the appointment as a notary. But what I like about general notary work as opposed to loan signings is that I have more flexibility to pitch myself as a real estate agent. I'm also a real estate agent. So, when I go to an apartment complex where people are renting units or renting an apartment, and I do some type of general notary work for them, I can say, hey, look, I'm also a real estate agent. I live in XYZ city or XYZ town. I know this area very well. When you're ready to buy, give me a call. And guess what? When they're ready to buy, assuming that I give them a good experience as a notary, guess who they're going to call? They're going to call me. So when I do loan signings, I don't pitch myself as a real estate agent. I only disclose it if, the conversation, real estate comes up in the conversation where I'm required to disclose it. And even then, I'm not pitching my service because I'm there to do the job of a notary. And I'm working in many ways as a representative of the signing service, of the lender, of the title company. I don't pitch myself at all as a real estate agent at loan signings. But with general notary work, I have a lot more flexibility to do that. And obviously, you guys, if you have other businesses or other things you do with general notary work, you can use that as opportunities to maybe pitch another service you offer that they might be looking for, right? And just augment your streams of income that way. So it's all about finding an audience for your work, finding an audience for your business. And guess what? When you start building these connections, you'll have people that are always reaching out to you. I truly believe that. So that's that. The other thing is that let's talk about what they specifically were asking me to do. So they want me to notarize a lease agreement. Now, they've already moved into this building, so they're going to have to basically re-sign a lease, right, to in front of me for me to notarize so that they can present to or give to the school district. Now, so that's supposed to happen next week, but let me talk a little bit about some of the logistics of that. I asked the person that called me, I said, do you know what type of notarization is required? He said, well, I tried to go to UPS and they needed a certified copy of the lease, or they needed something, and so they wouldn't notarize it. And so I said, okay, well, they probably need everyone who's signing it to sign it in their presence, in the presence of that notary. And so I said, for the most part, that's what's going to have to happen at a minimum in order for it to be notarized. But I was asking him what type of notarization was required, and he didn't know. I didn't really expect him to know either, but his response was, I wasn't aware that there were different types of notarizations. I said, yeah. And so I said, okay, ahead of our appointment next week, you should reach out to the school or whoever is asking you for the document to be notarized and tell them to tell you what kind of notarization is required, and then let me know. So I'll be prepared either way, but I can't just notarize the document without it being communicated to me what type of notarization is required. So he said, okay, I'll reach out to them and find out. What I did was I actually called that particular school because he told me what school it was, and I was aware of what school it was. I called the school and I asked the school, I said, hey, someone that's enrolling their child in your school reached out to me, I'm a notary, about notarizing a lease. They were like, yeah, we require to be notarized. I said, well, do you know what type of notarization is required? And the person couldn't tell me. So I said, well, if you guys are giving instructions requiring people to have documents notarized, then you should be able to communicate to them what type of notarization is required. And the person said, well, I wasn't aware that there were different types of notarizations. And I said, that's kind of funny because if you're requiring something, you should know what you're requiring. And they understood where I was coming from. And so I think they ended up like putting me on hold and talking to someone else from the school. And, they were like, typically, a notary would just, stamp the document and that's it. And I said, well, no notary should just be stamping any document with their stamp without actually performing a proper notarization of the document. They could actually get in trouble for that. And so I explained to him, an acknowledgement versus a jurat, and they pretty much told me they think it's a jurat. So I said, okay, if you say it's a jurat, it's a jurat. But going forward, you guys should kind of do some research and figure out if you're going to require people to have documents notarized, be able to communicate to people what type of notarization is required. Because while it might not seem like a big deal, it's the right thing to do. You should be able to tell people what type of notarization is required so that when they go to a notary, that notary isn't put in a position where they have to try to figure it out, or they just end up stamping the document. And then at some point, who knows what could happen, where it could come back on them. They can get in trouble. They can have their commission taken because they improperly notarized the document. It's not like a thing to play with, So I just wanted to share that because I'm sure if you're out here doing general notary work, you're going to encounter a situation where you'll meet people, or they'll come to you and say, hey, I need this document notarized, and they don't know what type of notarization is required. The people that's telling them to get it notarized don't know what kind of notarization is required. And so I try to kind of not push back and not refuse to notarize documents, but really put it back on them to tell me what notarization or what type of notarization is required, so that things are done the right way. So I just wanted to share that quickly with you and hope you, one, will understand how huge it is to build an audience for yourself by doing things like I mentioned with the apartment building, but also just doing the right thing as a notary. All right. So hope you guys found this useful, informative, educational, and encouraging. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. Peace.